Hey guys, this is GamerCal. Boy, has this last month been ridiculous. Yeah, circumstances have changed quite a lot. I want to do a separate video for that, but it's going to be rather hard to record for reasons you will see when I do. But I wanted to show something positive that's gone on this last month because, yeah, I've been playing a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff because the rest of the Fiendsmith support came out and it buffed my Vaalmonica deck something fierce. And, yeah, I hit Diamond for the first time like ever, so I'm going to show the game that got us there and show the deck off afterwards. I'm not super, in fact, I'll show it off just now. I'm not like super happy with absolutely everything at the moment. I kind of had to put Nibiru in and Ghost Ogre in because I was finding that my max season Fuwalos just weren't actually threatening the opponent enough. You really should have 3 Fuwalos in here, but I'm already at 42 cards and I can't really see any cuts that I want at the moment, so it's a little bit on the difficult side to keep going that way. But yeah, the new Lacrima stuff is absolutely insane for the deck, and it just does a lot of very powerful things like we saw last time. We're still doing the Nightmare Griffin lock, and we will see that as we go. Just a quick thing from what the opponent was playing, it was Zodiac with Fiendsmith. Very interesting bit there, you don't tend to see Zodiac stuff very often anymore. No Tri-Brigades to go with that or anything, no tankies either, you're just, if you draw one, you draw one, I suppose. So, yeah, I don't know, it was pretty fun. So I wanted to show this off, and of course it's a landmark for me personally. There's been a fair few times I knew I could get to Diamond, I just don't play often enough to do so, but I've kind of had the reason to do so this month, so yeah. So I only have Maxi in hand here as the only hand trap, so I figure I might as well go for it in draw phase, and well, that's it. Fair Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I was kind of thinking, I guess we're just done here, probably, if they have anything reasonable. And then Zodiac Barrage came in and was like, whoa, we haven't seen that card in a while. So it destroys itself, we get to bring out Furrowblade. Furrowblade goes ahead, discards the combo that they started with to draw a card, so they have an extra one to play with. And then normal summon Lacrima. So like, alright, I guess I haven't really seen Zodiac Fiendsmith stuff before. They send Fiendsmith in Paradise, so they'll have an interrupt on my turn. And then they put both of these into Moon of the Closed Heaven. That's like fine, I suppose, you get an extra body here, but I was like, well, you've already got this one here, so why do we need to summon an extra Light Fiend here? I think they actually do end up using it, but I don't know if they really needed to. I think if they just went for Dryden and gone through sequence instead of Moon here, they probably would have been in a much better spot, but whatever. Moon goes to the grave, as we well know, gets Fiendsmith Requiem, usual Fiendsmith stuff from here, but it's like, well, they don't have the extra body anymore, so I guess I'm totally okay with that. Engraver comes out off of Requiem, and then we get to start with Tract, because why not? I don't know why they didn't do this beforehand as well. They should have probably done that earlier in the turn, but oh well, whatever, it's their call. So they get the Lurry, and that lets them get into sequence, and I don't have the imperm for the sequence, so we can't stop them from doing this bit. So they get to shuffle in Moon and Lurry, get a Lacrima. Lacrima gets the, I believe it gets the Engraver back to hand in this case. It could have special summoned it, but they apparently want to do something else here. So they've obviously already used Tract, so this is going to get a different Fiendsmith spell trap. So it's like, well, they've shown Paradise as well. It's like, oh, they're actually playing Kyrie too. That's interesting. So I've done lines with this in the Dice Rally. It's pretty cool. So we get the Engraver back out, shuffle the sequence in, Tract to fuse all of these off to make Desiree. And then Desiree is going to get sequence on it. It's the usual Fiendsmith stuff you've seen. We do get burned for 1200 here as well. That's an interesting one, I suppose. And yeah, it's an untargetable. One-time negate, although it can negate up to 2 cards, so you've got to be a little bit careful about the way you play it here. And the Kyrie, which can fuse these two into Rextra Mende. I think it's Mende as a thing. I'm not actually sure how you pronounce it, but it's got the sort of text at the end for that. I don't know. Anyway, the main thing I've got to look out for here is Desiree being able to negate both of my scales, because if I can't put extra counters down, then not only is it going to be harder to get over this guy in the first place, but I also can't summon my Vaalmonica links if that happens, and that would be pretty terrible. That's one of my main interactions on their turn. So I have to kind of bait this out first. And when we draw, we get into Nari. It's a decent card, but not. It's usually the one you search, but it's just another one of the links in the combo here, so we'll be able to get something else later, which is pretty good. So we go for the field spell here. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. It's one heck of a long word, that's for sure. Yeah, we go for the field spell to try and search a monster. We want to bait the Desiree negate out here, and that works, so we actually do get to do that. They also trigger the Kyrie here. This is something I did quite a bit during the Dice Rally as well when I was playing Rextramende in this list. We use this so that we can now have access to the fusion effect when needed, and that gives us the disruption on Desiree. So while we have scales anyway, we get Celatris back, we normal summon the Celatris and go for the effect here, and they do chain the Kyrie, so they're going for a Sen, which is interesting. If they send Celatris, it could be kind of annoying actually, because I did discard it to revive it basically here, so that could be a problem. Since we do have Maxi in the graveyard, if we use Incenare, they get the choice as to which in gets summoned, so they're going to give us Maxi, and it's going to be kind of a problem. So that's an irritation, but it's what do they choose to go for here in terms of the send, and they go for the Demono. Going for one of the scales is definitely a good option. I obviously have the second Demono here, so I can just put it in scale. If they went for Angelo instead, I can still use the Skelter in order to search for Invitare, and then Invitare would let me pick up the Angelo onto the field. I would have had less bodies to work with, but I still would have been in a pretty fine spot overall. It's unlucky for them that they ended up picking the one that I already had in hand, but I think I would have been completely fine in the end, in the long run anyway, so I guess don't feel too bad about it. It is what it is. So we do get to reset our scales though, because they chose the right one for us. We get to use our search here, take 5, put the counter here, get the Invitare. We would have still been able to do this again, even if we only had one scale, we could still do that, because we get to choose so long as we have at least one of them complete. So we would have still chosen to pick this up, and then we would have had, I think we might have not had Angelo on the board is the only thing, but it just slightly weakens what we can do in the end board here. So anyway, Invitare's second effect lets us add Angelo to hand, put Demono into the extra deck. Always put Demono into the extra deck because it summons to the extra monster zone, and that's the one that you really need for your Light Fiend shenanigans. They go for Paradise here, but there's nothing they can send that disrupts us anymore, because we already have the Desiree's effect used. So there's not really anything that they can get that's too damaging. The worst they get, and what they do get, is Lacrima, so that they can revive sequence, and that's what they go for here. Remember, they can't be destroyed in battle this turn, and they do take half damage here, so they're going to get to keep this regardless. But the body is not really the problem for me here. So once we've gone through the stuff here, we do get to use Demono to use the damage effect of Skelter. That lets us use Vasare to use its damage effect, get the third counter. So we now have Followed Rhythm in play for next turn, which is pretty strong. And now we go into Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, so that the reason we do this is because we can't really play Moon in this deck. Why can't we play Moon in this deck? Because Demono would go into the extra deck. I showed this off in the last video I did of this as well, but it's literally a Light Fiend Exceed monster that we can summon here, and then when the material goes to the grave, that means Demono goes to the grave as well. So we could use it functionally as extra material. Because if we just made Moon here, then that Demono goes into the extra deck here, and it's not possible to shuffle it in from the extra deck. They also decide to Ghost Mourner here. This is a really weird Ghost Mourner. Like, I think maybe what happened is they read the whole, like, you can destroy all other cards on the field thing, and was like, oh, I've already used all my stuff, I need to get rid of this now, and I need to stop it from happening. It wouldn't have worked anyway, but also, I don't care about that, right? Like, I'm not using that effect, I'm using it for the other bit. I'll take 1900 here as well to get rid of it too. That part's not a problem. It gives me an extra counter on here. So yeah, ouch I suppose, but not really. We use the Intinari here so that we can revive a monster. They do get the choice, so they give us max C. It literally doesn't matter, it's just getting Intinari in the graveyard, as well as the extra body here. Lacrima sending the Engraver, and now we can use the max C to go into Zebufera, because we have enough counters. So we have this link arrow in the good spot now. We replicate the Intinari, they give us max C back, again, doesn't matter. Honestly, the best thing they could have given us is Demono, but very, very few people seem to realize this. If you take the Pendulum monster out of the graveyard, then it goes to the extra deck when I do this link to here. So if you are up against Vaalmonica and they try and do this to you, I suppose that's the one that you want to hit. So there you go. We get sequence now, we get to do our own Lacrima stuff here. Now, we haven't used Fiendsmith Tract this turn yet, so we're going to add the Engraver to hand so that we can pick Tract out of the deck, and that's completely fine. We still haven't used the Engraver's Revive effect yet either, so we are in a pretty comfortable spot with it here. So we add the Lurry, as they did, discard the Lurry. You've seen this a million times if you played any of the ladder stuff recently. Fiendsmith is a very powerful deck after all, but we have a Pendulum monster, so we can go into Exceed the Pendulum here, which don't do this normally, by the way. I only did this because I know they don't have interaction, but don't use both effects in sequence, because if they negate this on Chainlink 3, then you lose everything. But basically what we're doing is we're adding a Pendulum monster from our extra deck to our hand, and also reviving one from the graveyard. It can be hand or graveyard, so you can do these separate, but we have the mono still in the grave and we want that on board for our next trick. So yeah, that one comes back, this one goes into the hand, and then these two get linked off into Nightmare Griffin. Card that should not be legal if you look at TCG, but Master Duel does its own thing. This is instrumental for quite a lot of boards because it prevents monsters that are not linked from using their effects, so long as they're a special summon, right? It's a little bit of a stipulation, but basically everything gets special summoned, right? So if it's not linked, it can't use its effects, and that's just very powerful. Obviously should not be legal, but normally it's like in the extra monster zone, and they do have one zone you can go to, but because of Zebufera we can actually hide it, and we can put it in the center bit where it's basically impossible for most stuff to link to, which is very nice for us. So we don't use its effect to get a spell card back here, because we actually want this Demono as a fusion material here. So we're going to get Engraver. That goes back, it does go to a link arrow, so we can use the Fiendsmith Tract in order to use Engraver's effect to send Rextramende, because otherwise we can't destroy that. They do get a card back, they choose the Fiendsmith in Paradise for reasons, not really sure why, but it's fine. And then we fuse with the one in hand as well, so that we can keep Lacrima in play. And that lets us get our own Desiree, which will also be linked here, so we do get to still use our effect. And yeah, even though it's a climax music now, remember they take half damage because of Kyrie, so we don't actually kill them here. I did know that, that's why we were going through this line. And this is a pretty formidable board, so they can't use special summon monster effects unless they link them. They're getting debuffed by a total of 1,000 points here, because, no, 1,200 even, because we've got 600 off of Lacrima and then 6 counters to debuff them with. We have Desiree that can negate, and we also have Zebufera locked and loaded with the Followed Rhythm. So at any point here, we can choose to flip this, basically, and both destroy a spell trap if we have to, but also bounce a monster. You always do both effects, and the other thing is we have 2 counters down here and the field spell in play. So we get to steal one of their monsters if we use Zebufera to copy a positive effect. So this is ridiculously formidable, right? Especially off of just 2 cards. They do have sequence, but again, they can't activate sequence right now because they don't have a link point. And I mean, you could make Engraver. I suppose we get the Engraver out. You can put that there, go for Requiem to get a link point, but then we just negate with Desiree, and what do they do from there, right? So there's not a lot, I think, that could really go against us here. They do draw the Lurry, which is pretty funny, so we get to Requiem, and it's like, do you try for the sequence? You probably should have tried for the sequence, because there's still, like, this is your one way of getting to a late point for this. But they don't. They go for Requiem first. I'm like, you know what? That is completely fine with me. Let's just give you the Lacrima. Lacrima can't use its effect because it's not linked. So now they go, okay, Link 2 plus the Link 1 go into Agmande. Agmande does point to the Lacrima, so it does have a zone to point to. But Agmande even, Lacrima doesn't matter at this point. Agmande does not does not like tribute itself like Requiem does. So we could just stop it here. So we negate it with Desiree. There's not really a lot they could do. They have normal summoned as well, so not a lot they could do about that. And then it's like, right, okay, well, I'll go for Engraver then, and I'll put it in a link zone so I can, go like Requiem there, try and send this stupid Griffin away. And, well, that's not going to work because we can chain the Zebufera and use Followed Rhythm to bounce that. That gives us the third counter, so then we steal this, and there's absolutely nothing they can do from there. So we just win the game as is. We know the last card in hand is Fiendsmith in Paradise, because that's the one that they added back. So there was no way that they could get to anything useful, and the game is over. And that is how we get to Diamond. I always knew I could, I just don't play enough to really get to Diamond here. We have a lot of potential game stuff for getting there. It is a huge, kind of a huge undertaking getting anywhere past Gold, to be honest. You need a lot of wins to get to the stuff there, but, it is perfectly fine. So yeah, first time in Diamond. Feels pretty good to know, like, 100% that I can go there for it. This event was amazing, fun as well. There was a lot of good stuff there, but I didn't record anything from it because it's just been my way to like pass time and stuff off of it here, really. And that is that. Yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed the showcase of what the Vaalmonica deck can do, and I really like the build, to be honest. I just need to maybe tweak the hand trap ratio stuff. I want to get it back down to 40 cards, but it has been very difficult to do that. Just because, unfortunately, Nibiru is kind of feeling even more important now than ever before. So it's tough. I also want to play free Fuwalos because this is one deck that genuinely loves having Fuwalos access. If you've got Fuwalos plus your scales, it's a level 4, so you can pendulum summon it, right? So it actually gets used going first as well. So I want to get it back at 3 copies, I just don't know how to really do that right now. Feels like everything else is kind of necessary as is. So yeah. Oh, it's really cool though, and I was able to play like a different variation for the Dice Rally event with playing more of the Lacrima, because Lacrima is also a level 4, so that works out very well, and being able to use stuff like Draw Nibiru, and Rex Tremende was actually insane for the event stuff as well. If there's one thing I would like to be able to put in the main deck that I couldn't fit in, it is this, because this opens up a lot of cool options, but it's just very, very difficult to try and fit everything in, unfortunately. So yeah, Vaalmonica is still a very cool deck. Would it be cool enough to go through Diamond? I know some people have played it into Master, so definitely yeah, but probably not for me. Anyway, thank you very much for listening in, and until next time, take care.